Hello, beautiful people. I'm Chris Maddox, founder of the Wild Woman Project and Wild Woman Fest. And I'm speaking to you today because we always meet like this at new moon time, and the very first new moon of 2021 is arriving. So depending upon your time zone, it arrives on January 12th, which is a Tuesday, or Wednesday, January 13th. And it initiates for us our very first full moon cycle of this year. So the adventure very much continues. And we've been living through, as a human family, an extraordinarily intense period of time for over a year now. And it continues, and we continue walking the path. And this path so far has been overall an extremely challenging period for our human family, for the structures that we maybe counted on in the past. I mean, things are really getting unearthed and shaken up. And we are being asked to shift and to change. The times we are living through call for something different than the before times, before the pandemic. We're in a new phase, and we're very much in that kind of liminal space where, like between worlds, where one version of the world is fading and another version is coming to life. And quite intentionally, here at the Wild Woman Project, we've been in this exploration for almost half of a year, where we're focusing on love as a power to be wielded, as in an instrument, as in a tool, as in a weapon. So we've been looking at all of these different dimensions of love, how it expresses, what it asks of us. We've explored how love requires of us to speak the truth, that love requires of us to listen, that love can liberate, that love can help us to remember what is really important. And this new moon at the beginning of the new year, our theme for the cycle is love builds. Focusing on this aspect of love, that when we're really in it, when our hearts are aligned with love, and our actions get on board and our mind gets on board, then we start to look at the raw materials of whatever our resources are in life. And for each of us, that is different. So we look around at our life, we look at our resources, and we say, what will I build that will be helpful, that will be useful, that will be meaningful, that will be beautiful? That love is interested in building and creating and recreating our lives. And that's on the smallest level, like what kind of activities we do with our kids at home. What are we building there? What are those activities made of? To building movements for social change, for justice, for love. That's more in the transpersonal. That's more thinking about the larger community and all on these levels, whether it's personally, like our little worlds, our little sphere of influence that is our little family and our little home, And then our care for the larger community, for the planet, for future generations, and that sort of thinking in a transpersonal way. That love, when we're really wielding it, allows us to be extraordinary builders, because we're constantly asking, how can I make this place a place of love versus a place of hatred or a place of fear? That when we align ourselves with a loving instinct, with the force of love, and we think to ourselves, how can I help? What can I build? And for some of us, it's going to be small things on the fringe, helping our neighbors. For others of us, it's going to be more global in scale or systemic in scale. I mean, really, one of the things we're always talking about is that we all have inner guidance that we have access to. And that inner guidance is very personal to us and to our lives. So at this time, this new moon and this new year, with the continued strain of the process that we're in and all that it is unearthing and kicking up and forcing us to face and asking us to really step forward. It's asking us to really step forward, to really listen to our inner guidance and then act on that inner guidance. And specifically this new moon, what I really kind of want to lay at your feet as something to think about is to really ask yourself in your life, what are you building to make this place a place of love, a place of meaning, a place of compassion, and whatever else you value, whatever you want the world to look like, what are you doing in your life to help to build that world? So things, I had this moment sitting down today to make this video, and I had a whole plan about what it was going to be about like a week ago. And it's just this is the times that we're living in, is that things so rapidly are changing. And, I sat before this video and I just said, what's the most important thing that I want to say at this time? And I really, really want to say that I hope that you will consider doing whatever gets you from being in a space of fear to being in a space of love. Whatever that gets you from hatred, judgment, to love. And that isn't to say to close your ears and eyes and forget about everything that's happening, but it's to stabilize yourself so that you are anchored in love, so that when you go to call a loved one on the phone, you are anchored in love. You're not in a space of hatred. You're not in a space of fear. You are in a deeper space, so that when you go to work or you go to talk to a neighbor, or you go to do work with whatever communities you're involved in, that your orientation is one that's anchored in the wisdom of love. So do whatever the things are that get you into that space, because what is being asked of us now is something different. And I think what we'll see is it'll continue to change. And it asks of us to be really, really present and to just keep swimming, just keep walking the path, keep reaching out in love, taking care of your people, reaching out to those who are your closest ones, make sure everyone's okay, that we are truly, what happens to the most vulnerable among us on some level, conscious or unconscious, it happens to us. And part of this initiation we are in is to get that and to rebuild a world that is in alignment with humanitarian values and loving values. And it really, the other option is just so dark that we have to keep pointing ourselves in that direction. How can I make this place more beautiful? How can I make my home space a more loving space, my neighborhood, my larger community, my city? How can we take the raw materials of what we have as resources and build something more beautiful? So if the idea of exploring this theme of love builds sparks for you, we have Wild Woman Project circle leaders all over the globe. So you can find a full list of our circle leaders who facilitate public circles, which, mind you, many of them are on pause from meeting in person or doing socially distanced, but you can still find a circle leader near you and reach out to her directly. So I'll put a link below this video to find a circle near you. And we've also compiled a list of times where some of our circle leaders are leading circles online. So you could join those from anywhere. So there'll be a link below this video. We also have a sort of a big new project that we're working on, a new retreat space, which is called Immersion. And it's totally online and it's for the entire month of February. We have limited it to 44 women. So we'll have a group of 44 women who will, for the entire month of February, be in a kind of retreat space. I think of it like a living retreat where you have these, we'll have these sessions. We meet 3 times a week. And then we'll go back into life, and then we meet again, then we'll go back into life, and then we meet again. And so every single Monday in February, as part of the immersion, I will teach a Wild Woman school. Every Thursday, there will be a circle ceremony. And then every Saturday, we'll do a joy-making session, because we really believe in joy-making for resilience and for creativity. And so that we'll do that each and every one of the 4 weeks in February. And it is in the spirit of retreat, and it's sure to be an adventure. So last time I checked, there are 9 spots available. So if you are feeling the call to do that, you can find the link below this video and claim your seat. And because of this immersion and how focused we're going to be on this in February, we're not going to have a new Wild Woman School in February. We'll be back in March. So you are welcome to download the latest session of Wild Woman School, which I think is really supportive of this idea of centering ourselves and being focused on what are we building. So the latest session is called Daily Rituals for Wild Women. So we walk through a process where you will actually walk out of that session with 4 different little rituals that you can do every single day that are crafted by you. So you can find a link to that below the video, Daily Rituals for Wild Women, and you can download that session recording right now. So thank you so much for listening and for taking the time, and keep walking that bridge. If you start to get into a fear space or a hatred space, keep walking, walking, walking back into love, and keep remembering that we have so many different resources that it's literally like the raw materials that we can build with. So my hope is we as a community really think constantly this first moon cycle of this new year, how are we building our world in love? Thank you so much. Happy new moon.